Let's examine this complete Johnson family atlas here. As you see, it's a monumental folio atlas, embossed in blind on the rear cover, stamped in gilt, and with embossed decorative patterns around the front cover. The leather, as typical, has dried. The front joint is splitting. The spine is scuffed and chipped at the ends. However, internally, it's sound, clean, and tight, and actually quite a nice example. The front cover is, I think we should say, loose to close to being detached. So you should buy this atlas knowing that while it is attached, it's really only attached very, what's the word probably I'm looking for? Tentatively, I would say. And really, the book is being offered as an atlas that's complete, in beautiful condition, but the front cover is loose and close to detached. So now that we've got that clear and out of the way, let's proceed through the atlas. Begins with this very pleasing title page, frontispiece here of the United States Capitol, and the title page here shows us that it's an 1867 issue, which is not a common one for this atlas. Johnson atlases were issued every year. In fact, sometimes there are variant issues within a single year with different content of the maps being variants. But as we get later in the 60s and 70s, they become less common. And so here's the list of contents like so. And we see this first beautiful, wonderful chart here comparing river lengths and mountain heights in this diagonal format like so, in these 5 bands going across. All the hand coloring that's in here is original. This is a color lithographed flag chart, which actually has it's really strange because it has an imprint at the bottom of 1868, which is later than the title page. So that's one of those very fascinating detail points that really is a head scratcher, and it makes you wonder what exactly was going on with whether this was not correct or the title page. Actually, it was 1868. But there is this map here of Siam and Cochin, China, and I believe, well, I won't look for it, but I believe on here there could well be one of Hawaii as well as possibly, well, depends on the date. These maps, these charts often have a Confederate flag on them as well, but we'll move on because that's not our focus. Here we see this time diagram, which is very interesting. And here we have these small maps of the world that, for instance, show the cultivation of plants and the features of land and productive industry and so on. They're thematic maps, really. And here we have this physical geography discussion with all these little vignette illustrations. That's one of the interesting features of Johnson atlases, is that there's often printing on the reverse of the maps, like so, which adds a whole nother dimension to the atlas, because this is an extensive physical geography section here. And all the maps that are double page are set in on inset tabs so that they could be removed, and often they are and were removed for display. Here is a nice map of the world in hemispheres, double hemispheres. This particular decorative border is unique to only certain years of Johnson maps. There is a website, I believe, called the Johnson Project, devoted specifically and entirely to the dating of Johnson maps by the page number at the top, as well as the border and so on. This is a nice map here of North America with an inset of the Sandwich Islands, like so. And here we have this part of Canada above the Great Lakes. And here we have 2 more Canadian maps like this. There's quite a profusion of maps in here. Nice map here of the United States of North America. And we see the Pony Express and mail route delineated and named here. We see routes, for instance, of Captain Marcy in 1849 here. There are other early exploration routes going across the west there, including the wagon trail, I do believe. Here is a nice double-page map of Maine, followed by New Hampshire. And this configuration here of New England does not appear in all the Johnson atlases. It's only in a few. There's a short little split there, and a longer split here, but it's a very clean, no loss split, typical of this atlas, same as here. Johnson, for some reason, their paper often has age browned. This paper is actually nicer than typical for Johnson atlas. It's whiter and it's fresher and it's better than some of their earlier atlases. So this is a nice example, actually, despite any flaws or browning or anything like that. It's a very nice example. Here is a beautiful double-page map showing all of Brooklyn and lower Manhattan. And here we have Pennsylvania, New Jersey. There's some short little edge splits at the base of many pages, but those are trivial. Those are easy to mend with archival tape. Here we have New Jersey, like so. Then we've got this very nice Civil War battle related map, like so. Again, almost as always seen with the very, very narrow side margins. The size of the plate was just simply so large that it always printed in that way. Here is this decorative plan with the inset vignettes, like so, for Washington, D.C. And here we have Delaware and Maryland with this inset there. The key down here is actually a little bit interesting, as is, I do believe, okay, not on that issue. Fine, there we go. And we see here North and South Carolina with vignette scenes like this, inset of Charleston Harbor, which is nice. And Georgia, Alabama, like so. Nice depiction of just the state of Florida. And here we have southern states, these three. Louisiana, so on. Here's a beautiful double page of Texas. There's a split right here at the base. Again, no loss at all. Easy to mend, and as typical, or as often seen, edge splits, centerfold splits in atlases like this are relatively common. Here's one here for Ohio. It's just the nature of the paper and being viewed and so on. And the maps are very large, and the binding is quite heavy. So those factors together result in this sort of a little small faults that are common to large folio atlases like this. Here we have Missouri and Kansas. And here is Iowa, Nebraska. It's a very nice map here. Transitional map. Yes, there are numerous issues of this map. The details are fascinating, including here's the Emigrant Road, the wagon trail going across, like so. Yeah, interesting. Here's another one right here, Lieutenant Mullen. So if you look closely, there are all kinds of details like that. Same with over here. There are various trails that are denoted by dates and explorers. There's Washington and Oregon. Here's Minnesota. And of course, this is a wonderful map. There are numerous issues of this with the various county configurations. This is a very interesting one indeed. Yes, with all the different trails shown on it. Here's Mexico and showing most of Texas actually there. Here's Central America. Here we have the West Indies, like so. And here is South America. And here is Europe. And here we have England and Wales. And Ireland, Scotland. Okay. Here we have Spain, France, and Portugal. And Scandinavia, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Holland, Belgium with insets of Amsterdam and Brussels. There's Switzerland, Prussia, and Germany, like so. And here is Italy. There are different, various issues of the Italy map as well. And here's the southern region of Europe, Austria, Turkey in Europe, Greece, and so on. Here's Russia with Finland and Finland over. So Russia in Europe, so to speak. And Russia continues like this across Siberia. And then we have Arabia all the way to Japan and the Aleutian Islands off the coast of Alaska. Here's Turkey, and here's Arabia with Persia, Baluchistan, Afghanistan. Here is the Holy Land with insets, Palestine like so. And here we have India and Southeast Asia, Siam, Laos, Annam, Cochin China, Tonkin, Cambodia, Burma, island of Singapore right there. And here is a map just of China, like this, with Amoy and Canton Harbor. Here we have a nice, attractive map of Japan by itself. And here's a very fine, large scale map of Africa, like so, with some insets. And here is a very pleasing and detailed map of Australia, like so, with the East Indies, including the Philippine Islands, Sumatra, New Guinea, the Celebes, Borneo, and so on. And I believe we're getting towards the very end here. We got the ancient world, right? The Roman Empire here. And I think we have now shown you all of the maps. Yes, that's it. That's the atlas. It's complete. Marbled end papers, like so. Decorative, beautiful eagle, United States seal on the front cover. And this joint, as I mentioned,